talking to the pastor here and my friend about Angela's funeral. And I asked, what is she known for? What is she going to be remembered for? Is she going to be remembered for how nice a house she had? What is she going to be remembered? The one thing that was saying that she said that she was created to worship. That was her heart. That she's known as a person of worship, a person who had a passion and a heart of worship, who loved Jesus Christ with all her life. That's what was talked about at her funeral. Not all these other things that people think are important, but really, what did she do for Christ? What did she do for God? The people who she influenced when she was alive, that's what mattered on that day. And that's what's going to be remembered. Everything else is forgotten. I'm going to read in Ecclesiastes chapter 1. Now, King Solomon wrote this. Now, something about King Solomon that you got to know is he was the richest man in history. Period. No one still today has surpassed the wealth that King Solomon had. He had everything. Anything that his brain could comprehend that he wanted, he had. Instantly. So here's a man who has everything. And he starts writing something in chapter 1 that is crazy. You wouldn't think a person who had everything would write what I'm about to read. I'm going to read it. Chapter 1, verse 1. I'm going to start in verse 2, actually. It says, everything is meaningless. Utterly meaningless. What do people get for all their hard work? Generations come and go, but nothing really changes. The sun rises and sets and hurries around to rise again. The wind blows south and north, here and there, twisting back and forth, getting nowhere. The rivers run into the sea, but the sea is never full. When the water returns again to the rivers and flows again to the sea, everything is so weary and tiresome. No matter how much we see, we are never satisfied. No matter how much we hear, we are not content. History merely repeats itself. It has all been done before. Nothing under the sun is truly new. What can you point to that is new? How do you know it didn't already exist long ago? We don't remember what happened in those former times, and in the future generations, no one will remember what we are doing now. This is crazy. This is a guy who has everything. Everything. And he's saying life is meaningless. He's saying that there's nothing new, that there's just nothing worth doing, that everything is just forgotten. This is a man who had everything. I think a lot of us here today would love to be in his situation. To love to have anything that we want, to be able to buy anything that we can have. But here's a man who had it all. And he realized the point of what he was writing is that life is meaningless and that he's not living for Jesus. That everything else is going to be forgotten and will be returned to dust. And the only thing that matters is our life with Christ. A man who had everything realized that. Because it didn't matter how many wives or how many women he had. It didn't matter how much riches he had. He knew it was pointless and it was meaningless. And the only thing that had meaning in his life was his relationship with God. A lot of times we think if we had all the women, if we had the nice car, the big house, if we had all the riches, it would be fun. We'd be happy, we'd have joy. We'd have this life that we've always wanted, and we'd never be sad. Is that why there's hip-hop stars committing suicide because they're depressed and lonely, because they searched drugs, sex, money, and fame, but they found out that it didn't get them what they wanted. They thought they could have the high life, and they could roll and be on MTV, and that that's what life would be all about. And after they have it all, they find out, man, life is pointless and meaningless, and they put a gun to their head. King Solomon realized that. He realized that he could have it all and still miss out on life. And that life is only found in Jesus Christ. It's only found when we're living for Him with everything we have 100%. Because at the end, everything else is forgotten. Psalms chapter 49. There's so many verses in the Bible, unless you memorize the whole Bible, there's going to be verses that jump out at you that you didn't even know that were in there. And this verse completely jumped out at me. And I was like, wow, this is powerful. Psalms chapter 49, verse 10. It says, I'm going to read it in the New Living Translation, so it might be a little different. Verse 10. Those who are wise must finally die, just like the foolish and senseless, leaving all their wealth behind. The grave is their eternal home where they will stay forever. They may name their estates after themselves, but they will leave their wealth to others. They will not last long despite their riches. They will die like animals. This is the fate of fools, though they will be remembered as being so wise. Like sheep, they are led to the grave where death will be their shepherd. In the morning, the godly will rule over them. Their bodies will rot in the grave, far from their grand estates. But as for me, God will redeem my life. He will snatch me from the power of death. So don't be dismayed when the wicked grow rich and their homes become ever more splendid. For when they die, they carry nothing with them. Their wealth will not follow them into the grave. In this life, they consider themselves fortunate, and the world loudly applauds their success. But they will die like all others before them and never again see the light of day. People who boast about their wealth don't understand that they will die like the animals. That's a pretty intense verse. That's just like in your face. And it's saying everything you have in life, you can't take with you. Everything. The only thing you can take with you is your experiences and what you've done for God. That makes all of a sudden your life seem a lot different. I hope it does anyway. Because then you reevaluate your life and everything you're living for and everything you're wanting, and all of a sudden it's meaningless. I'm not saying it's not good if you're wealthy or if you have a nice house. I'm not saying that's bad. But when it's your focus and it's your heart and it's your drive in life, then you've missed out on the point of life. Because if you're focused on something you can't take with you, then your focus is on something that's dust. It's worth as good as the dirt that's right outside. But when your focus is on something eternal, when your focus is on something on what you can do for Christ and the influences you can be on other people, that's something that's going to last, and that's something you can take with you for eternity. Those are the riches, those are the rewards that you can have. I'm going to read one more verse, 1 Samuel chapter 14. This is one of my favorite stories in the entire Bible. Let me tell you what's going on. You have King Saul at the time, leading the Israelites. But they're not really having a good moment because they're all sitting underneath a tree, too afraid to go fight the Philistines. They're scared. They don't have enough weapons. They're not even close to being as big as the Philistine army. They're scared. They don't believe they can win, so they're hiding. Sitting underneath the tree, hiding from the army so they don't die.